Welcome everybody, Christina Wolf here, and this is another week of our weekly card pull party, and I guess I'm going to call it an energy update because lately we've been talking a lot about our energy before I start the week, and I just want to adjust my camera because it looks to me like I'm a little crooked. So how is everybody doing this week? Hopefully, if you're just popping on, say hi. Hey, Bridget, how are you? This week has been really interesting for me. Ever since the releasing meditation I did on the full moon in Scorpio, I've been having all kinds of like physical ailments come up. And it's really important for this new moon in Taurus to really stay grounded, literally grounded, like call upon like earth energy to really help you process physical symptoms. Like I literally had like some vertigo this week. It's been interesting to say the least. And so if you're having like any kind of detachment from your body, this earth energy is a really good way to get connected to yourself. Like, because most of us who have had any kind of trauma or were prone to a real sensitive nature, we have a tendency to either be all up in our head or very abstract, and staying kind of in the ethereal spiritual realm most of the time. And it's important to come into your body and in the present moment. Like this whole week, I've had to remind myself of that multiple times, just saying, you know, you're in the here and now and you're safe in the here and now, things like that. So, okay, Stephanie, hi, and glad you'll catch the replay. I'll pull an animal card for you, of course. And Bridget, let me know if you'd like a card as well. And I'm gonna see if a couple more people pop on here. I had some other thoughts too, that I felt like I needed to sort of pass on that were like sort of coming up for me this week. There's this really big idea that if you're thinking too much, like literally being in your head, doing a lot of like mental air, like kind of air element, like really too much in a cerebral space, to kind of look away from that, like practice again, like the here and now, like grounding into your body, and allowing room for the answer to come to you, like especially if you're one who overthinks things and really can't come up with a good solution. Earth energy, Taurus energy is really good at allowing you to ground and make space to create the thing that you want. I was listening to, I think it was one of these podcasts about nutrition, and the person was talking about how it's almost more important how you cultivate the soil of your food before you plant the seeds to grow your food. Because if that soil doesn't have enough nutrients in it, then the plant that grows from it is going to be deficient from the very beginning. And so to me, I kind of look at this like as a metaphor for yourself and your spiritual journey, and to really cultivate your space, your energetic space that you want to grow your garden from, your garden being your life, the energy you want to put into it. So cultivate that soil, and the soil being your body, the mental space that you keep, the you know, the thoughts that you have, you know, your mental energy. All of these things go into cultivating that literal energetic space, that garden of yours. And so in that energetic space, that energetic container, your garden, if you will, is contaminated in any way with, you know, toxins, trauma, any other kind of thing that's holding you back in some way, you're going to be setting yourself up for stress later. So it's important to cultivate the soil from the beginning, at the root. Cultivate the root, and basically you don't have to worry about the leaves, if that makes sense. So, okay, I got you down, Bridget, for an animal card. And so I'm saying all this to you because this is what's coming to me, through me, from spirit, you know. And some of it is like, you teach the thing that you need to know. And it's really important to be intentional about your space and the garden that you're growing. And a lot of us, I think, get very, very busy, and we tend to have obsessive thoughts that aren't supportive. And so for me, that excessive thought, that's a lot of over air energy, you balance it with some earth energy. And if you have a lot of that air energy up here, burn it off with some fire energy, you know, write out all those thoughts, those, as my mentor, Carrie Hummingbird, calls it, disaster mind. When you're catastrophizing over everything, you know, maybe somebody didn't call you back, so now you're obsessing about the way that person didn't call you back. Just start like putting it all down on paper. Get the disaster mind out of your way, and like put it in a fire. Of course, use safety measures properly for fire energy. If you have a bonfire or something in your backyard that you regularly keep, something like that, safe. If you're going to burn it with a candle, make sure you have, you know, you're doing it outside or somewhere where you can do it safely. But just the intention of lighting a candle with the intention of, this candle represents this thought and this energy that I need to let go of, and then in a forceful blow of air, get rid of that energy by blowing the candle out. It's all how you intentionally use your energy and move it through your body. And I have to remind myself about this all the time. So another thing, like when I mentioned last week about Taurus and you know, Uranus, and how Uranus is like, you know, surprise, we're gonna make you deal with something that you don't want to deal with. A lot of that grounding energy is gonna help you get perspective, so you don't feel like you're in like this tailspin, like Sandra Bullock in that movie Gravity, where she's out in space and she gets put in a spin. And if you know, like if you're out in space, the law of physics, there's no such thing, you know, you don't have the force of gravity to slow you down or stop you. So you're gonna just keep going until some other force intervenes. But if you feel like you're in that state of spinning and can't find your bearings or get grounded, knowing some really important grounding tools to help you through these surprises will help you cultivate that space, your garden, keep your garden a loving space for you, because many of us are having, letting our internal world, our internal energetic space, be this stressful place. Most of us who have any kind of early childhood trauma, any kind of PTSD, the stress response, the trauma response of the body creates a almost, I don't want to say automatic, stressful environment internally. So even if you're just sitting here, you may feel more, you know, stressed than the average person, because your thoughts are creating the stressful environment inside of you. Your garden, you're cultivating your garden with toxic thoughts, basically. So that's really important. So that's really kind of one of the main things this week that I wanted to speak into, and really use kind of like earth energy, and you know, the other thing is creating sacred space, opening up the four directions and working in that sacred space is a way that you can cultivate your garden, your internal energy container, to, you know, and allow it to be done in a way that's very intentional, and in my opinion, energetically protected by any other entities that don't need to be there. So all that said, because I wrote some of this down. Oh, one last thing. Are you creating space for things to be the way you want them to be? You know, if you wish your partner were more considerate of you, are you looking at them? Are you sending out energetic daggers to them, or are you giving them, looking at them in a fine way, like, you know, I so appreciate you, even if like what's going on right in front of your face isn't something that reflects that, but you say, I appreciate you, and you stay in that state of appreciation and receptive or allowance mode to create space for another person to be a certain way. Maybe your judgment of them is keeping your interaction interlocked. Maybe your judgment of yourself, not allowing yourself to receive love and appreciation. So if you're always feeling like not revered, not loved, not appreciated, it's really impossible to allow that dynamic to take place and receive from other people. So again, it goes back to cultivating your inner garden, the soil from which you're creating who you are and your identity. And it's really important, especially if you're feeling, it's all well and good when you're in this nice sterile environment, like maybe you go to counseling or therapy or whatever, but then when you go out in the real world and you start interacting with people and you're all over the place with triggers and whatever, that's when the work really takes place. It's kind of like anyone can surf on nice calm waters, but you're really a surfer when you're using the forces of the wave and riding the wave instead of letting the waves drag you under. So in the meantime, I wanted to get started on the weekly card pull. And if anybody else has just popped on and you'd like a card, let me know. I'm going to start with my herbal tarot before I start shuffling, I'm going to open up some sacred space here. And welcome if you're just popping on. Say hi, let me know if you want a card. Okay, so we call in the winds of the east. We thank you, Brother Eagle, for your bird's eye view, for coming from the place of the void, from the place of all of our beginnings, the spring of our lifetime. And this is the place to which we will all go back to one day. Thank you for the mysteries of the void and creation. And this is that dark matter under the soil before the sprout comes up. This is that generative energy. We thank you so much for this sacred space. Thank you for coming and teaching us so much and being here and supporting us. Thank you so much. Now we call in the winds of the south. Brother Snake, who always so humbly teaches us how to shed old skin and travel closely to Mother Earth. We thank you so much for showing us how to be in the here and now and to be in the full noon summertime of our life and to truly receive the here and the now. We thank you so much for this grounding experience. Thank you so much. And now to the winds of the west, water element. We thank you so much for our emotions, for our ability to work through the fall of our lifetime and harvest all of the lessons of our rites of passage. We thank you, Brother Jaguar, for your tenacity of spirit, your ultimate integrity, for helping us know our truth and stand in our truth and be who we are and strengthen ourselves and in our integrity. Thank you so much. This is the place of the setting sun, and we appreciate you so much. Thank you so much. And to the winds of the north, this is our spirit of ancestors, air element, the winter of our lifetime. Spirit of hummingbird, spirit of elk, caribou, that of endurance and the lightness of being, the ability to go through the hardest things and still have lightness of being. And this is our ability to see all of our lessons learned and to overcome any of the lessons we've learned, to endure the winter of our lifetime. We thank you so much for all of the lessons that you bring to us and for allowing us to represent our ancestors, to be the guiding light, to be the shining star of our legacy, and to help heal all of our wounded generational trauma that came in the past. We thank you so much for all of your wisdom. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. And of course, on this beautiful Mother's Day, we must thank and honor Mother Earth. We love you so much for being with us. And we feel your safety that surrounds us and grounds us, and you, as you hold us in the womb of your being. And we will continue to honor you and love you for all of the wonderful resources you give us. Thank you so much, Mother Earth. And we ask for your forgiveness for all of the ways in which we have harmed you in the past. Thank you so much for your forgiveness as well. And then to Father Sky, we thank you for all of the mysteries of the universe, frankly, for being the source of Great Spirit and for taking care of us and watching over us, and for all the star nations that are your other children as well, that we are a part of, that for showing us that we are all one, as always. And I must thank Grandmother Moon and Grandfather Sun for reminding us of the cycles of life. We thank you, thank you, thank you. I thank you to my spirit guides, to all of my archangels, the ascended masters, benevolent lightnings, anybody who has, past friends, relatives, loved ones who've passed over. We thank you for your guiding light and love, and in this sacred space we are receiving messages from you. And as I shuffle these cards for the coming week, I'd like to really bless everybody who is on some kind of recovery journey, some sort of healing journey, as we all are, and all of us who have worked through our wounds and are on the path of service to others. Honor yourselves. Honor yourselves. You don't need to be perfect. In fact, your imperfections are the ways in which you are human, and your humanity is the way we connect to each other. So thank yourselves. And I honor all mothers. I honor all children, motherless children right now, who may be suffering today, because Mother's Day can be a wound for them. It can trigger a wound for them. The abandonment wound. If your mother is passed on, you can always speak to her. And I in particular want to commune with my maternal grandmother, Julia. I love you. You're always here. And I have a funny story to tell. My mom said that she went to some sort of dinner, like murder mystery dinner theater thing last night. And she said, I really kept thinking I told them the story about your grandmother and about how after she passed on, the phone rang, and I heard, Rona, is that you? Rona's my mother's name. And she thought it was my grandmother. And I said, Mom, I've had experiences too where somebody called asking for Dominic, which is my grandfather's name, and I thought it was my grandma. And I said, well, there's no Dominic here. And they said, oh, something's terribly wrong. And then I started seeing orbs in my house, and this was shortly after my grandma passed. And so like whenever, you know, I feel like my grandmother's spirit around, she loves to talk to me through her little bluebird figurines. And last night I just really felt her spirit around. And, you know, my mom is having a hard time with some stuff right now. And I said, well, Graham, I hope you can, you know, send some love to Mom. And so I found a picture of her online, and it was strange because my cousin had posted a picture of my grandma and was talking about how she missed her. And the picture was from like a year ago, and my cousin just happened to comment on it again like yesterday. So I saved the picture and I sent it to my mom. And I said, you know, I almost said Grandma's speaking to us. But, you know, I just said, you know, I think Grandma's, you know, thinking about us and whatever. And she calls me right back and she says, you know, it's just so weird. I was telling that story about your grandma and how I thought right after she passed, she had called me on the phone. And I said, well, and then she said 2 seconds later, you sent me that text message of her. And I said, oh, that's so weird. I said, I wanted to tell you Grandma's talking to us. And so it's those sort of things. If you have like a passed over relative, loved one, they're always talking to you. They're always talking to you. Just listen. Just listen. What do they want you to know? What do they want you to know? So I got you down, Shelly, for an animal card. All right. So that said, I'm going to pull the cards for this week. Using my left hand. I'm receiving. Okay. So here's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then the card for the week. Five of Pentacles. Can y'all see that? Mugwort. Mugwort is, I don't know if you can see that. It's a little blurry. Maybe you can see it back here. Mugwort is the herb. That makes me think of Harry Potter for some reason. Five of Pentacles. And of course, Earth energy. We're working with a lot of Earth energy this week. The new moon in Taurus. And let's see what it has to tell us. Okay, so a woman in crutches sits alone, or a woman with crutches sits alone in the cold while people in the village are warm and comfortable in their homes. Either she has consciously chosen to simplify her life, or she has had to accept a drastic change in circumstances due to external conditions. Even if these changes are due to external influences, she must look inward to see what it is that has needed changing internally. So this is some of that, how are you cultivating your internal garden, basically? Are you making sure the soil is rich with love, compassion, forgiveness for self and others? Or are you full of old toxic stories? So most times an unexpected event contains tremendous lessons. The universe wants us to evolve and to become more conscious of our inner stillness within the eternal changes. So there's that grounding energy that I talked about. Like, you know, as you're evolving, how are you staying grounded and maintaining that inner stillness? That's the only way you're going to be able to hear the divine messages that are coming to you. When we get too stuck in our thoughts and in life, we may unconsciously wish for a change, and so the universe provides it. Try not to get stuck in self-pity and regret, for these can be ruthless traps from which it is hard to break free. So there may be an element of self-sabotage going on here, and it's ultimately internally you have a desire for something, but maybe you're afraid to own it. So hello, Hope. Happy Mother's Day to you. Have faith that all things that occur are for further enlightenment. There is another element of surrendering to divine will. And I love how Carolyn Myss talks about this in her book, Anatomy of the Spirit. And she always says, you know, most people think, that's cool. I appreciate all divine will, you know, but just don't tell me bad news, okay? And surrendering to divine will is accepting that maybe sometimes there may be some negative things going on, but to know that they're all part of the plan, that right now they may look a certain way, but things aren't over yet. So don't torment yourself about your relationships, money, home life, status, or friends that have left your circle. Look for the light at the end of the tunnel and affirm an inner faith as a new day unfolds. Sometimes when people are dropping off and you feel really alone, you're creating space, you're cultivating space for more newer experiences, maybe this or something better, right? So even though you may feel alone right now, or like kind of, as I was saying, a sort of Spartan way of being, just understand that it's not going to stay that way. In order for you to receive new abundance, you got to open up more space for it. So you might be in that place. And while you're feeling the discomfort of stillness or the down cycle of energy, understand it's all part of the process. In order for you to make room for more and not feel really full or discomfort from being full, like think emotionally or energetically constipated, you have to let go. You have to have that down cycle. And that's for a lot of us, especially if you have the abandonment wound or scarcity wound or some sort of trauma about not having enough, that's scary for us. So we have to tap in to the universe and know that we're infinitely resourced when we tap into source, because we're already, you know, child of God and already perfect and whole as we are. So we can't be without. We can't be without. So that's just a reminder. So when you're feeling in that down cycle, just trust the process. Trust the process. Okay, so that's coming up Monday, Tuesday. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Even when you're feeling crazy, it's all good. I see the richness in my spirit and acknowledge my inner values. What are your inner values? What are you cultivating in your garden? Is it a rich soil that supports you? Is it going to bring you to the space that you want to be? Or what are you doing right now? Are these the things that are going to carry you to the place you want to be? So just think about that. And then we have, in the middle of the week, 6 of Cups, watermelon. And if you don't know much about watermelon, watermelon is a natural electrolyte. It allows you to enjoy the sweetness of life, to allow your cells to bring in the nutrients. If we don't have proper electrolytes like potassium, sodium, there's a few others in there, then our cells starve at a cellular level. And so watermelon is one of those that's saying, let yourself receive. Give yourself what you need and let yourself receive. 6 of Cups, in cups being a water element, through the emotional process, you'll cultivate the ability to receive more. Like, well, if I'm feeling really unappreciated, what energetic space do I need to get in to feel and receive appreciation? How can I allow myself to receive? Give yourself what you need. How do you give yourself what you need? That's kind of the question of the hour here. 2 children play at love. The boy, bedecked in roses symbolizing desires of the heart, is making an offering of watermelon to the girl who's standing in attentive detachment. This card shows a need to touch in with childlike innocence of loving and add more playtime to one's life. At this stage of a relationship, there is no serious commitment. So a lot of us who really want a certain thing, but we're striving too hard, this reminds me of that old parable about the person who plants the shoots in the ground, and they see the little sprouts coming up, the little shoots coming up, and they want them to grow so fast, and they keep pulling on them to grow further and further, except they pull them out by their root. This is that allowance. This is that divine will. This is surrendering to divine will. This is holding space. There's a lot of allowance going on here. And especially when you're feeling really angsty and like it's not going to happen. So, and there's another piece too. It's been a lot of heavy energy with this, full moon at Scorpio this last go around, and just because you might have done some releasing ceremonies, it takes time to implement the releasing and then in the process of the down cycle. So now on the 15th, we'll have a new moon. That's when the moon starts its journey of waxing, meaning getting bigger instead of waning like we're at right now. We're in the final stages of waning. This week, probably Wednesday, Thursday, is a time where we're going to start filling up. What do we want to fill up with? What are we waxing? What kind of energy is waxing right now? Because it'll just get bigger as the full moon comes, right? So playtime, relaxation. It's really important to look away from all your troubles as you're drilling on them, as you're worrying about them. Maybe you're just like really hard on yourself, like, why can't I let this go? Or why am I, so negative? Whatever story you're stuck in, go the opposite. Stop thinking about it. Stop trying to, quote, work on it energetically. Quit trying to fix it. And enjoy some playtime. Relinquish control. And that will let spirit, the universe, the mysteries of the universe to take over and do their part, right? Things that, we couldn't have possibly created on our own. So playtime, so important. And if you can't let go and allow that playtime, it just perpetuates that internal misery of like not getting what you want. So it's really important not only to let yourself have fun, be in a lighthearted space, but then allow yourself to receive what you're really seeking. So there's no serious commitment. To achieve this, both partners will have to be willing to scale the lofty peaks of commitment for a deeper bond. Emotional immaturity and toying with another's feelings are to be watched for. These can only create a feeling of instability and eventual betrayal. There's another piece here too. Like, one of the struggles that I had was, and as any childhood trauma survivor, if you're in a trauma response or you have difficulty with internal regulation, emotional and energetic regulation, you're in this like kind of very self-absorbed space that doesn't make room for emotional availability for others. So how you're connecting, it behooves you to cultivate that wonderful rich garden within, because when you do connect to someone else, you're doing it from a place of resource. You're doing it from a place of feeling grounded, centered, from your happy place. When you can connect from your happy place, the better and quicker you can return to your happy space, the quicker you can connect to others from that happy space, and you become more emotionally available to them. You're not toying with them. Maybe you become aware of your effect on others. Like if you're all over the place and you're having outbursts and you're, tantruming as an adult, whatever, a lot of self-loathing comes up. You may feel like, oh my God, I feel terrible now, guilt, shame, all that other crap. Who needs that, right? So the less likely you engaging in that sort of interaction, you come back to your happy space, you're emotionally available for another person. When you're in that like stressed spot, you can't even begin to worry about other people. You're so meshed in your own stuff. So it's if you want to be available for others, if you want to be able to take care of the people in your life, and that's mother energy for sure, right? To honor mother energy, mother yourself. Like, what the heck does that mean? But really, take care of yourself so that you can take care of other people, right? So watermelon is a food that reminds one of hot summer days and taking time out to enjoy the fruits of the earth. There absolutely is a need for us mothers to balance out all of our duties and responsibilities with playtime and relaxation time. Without that, we create this stressful like pressure within where we're resentful of doing things for others. And so take care of yourself. It's really important. Take care of yourself. Watermelon is used as a cooling refrigerant in hot weather. It is used to give when there are symptoms of heat stroke and associated thirst. Again, it's a natural like Gatorade, allowing your cells to absorb nutrients better. And lovingly I give and lovingly I receive the gifts of our friendship. Again, electrolytes are things that allow our cells to take in and let go of nutrients. It helps us to receive nutrients, vitamins, and it helps us release water. That's why potassium is so important. That's why sodium is so important, among some of the other electrolytes. And watermelon's a natural Gatorade full of all of those elements. So it's really important to let yourself receive and give properly on the cellular level, amongst many other levels, the abstract level as well. So let's see what we get for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Ooh, the Chariot. I don't think we've pulled the Chariot yet. Major Arcana. The Chariot is a peaceful warrior who has learned how to harness the energy of his will and is receptive to the inner guidance that is always flowing to him. What are we even talking about? When you master yourself, you can be available for other people, right? So his body and his personality are symbolized by the Chariot. He uses this vehicle, your body, the vehicle that you're in, during his manifestation here on earth as an expression of his true self. There's a lot of take care of your body, take care of your everything in the 3D world, like here on earth. There's a lot of that energy this week. Like, stay grounded. If you're feeling really disconnected from your body, what are you putting in your body? Are you drinking a lot of sugary drinks and caffeine that's making you feel jittery and in a state of stress? Pay attention to those things. Are you cultivating a rich garden? Are you cultivating a stressful garden? He uses this vehicle during his manifestation here on earth as an expression of his true self. Ruled by Cancer the crab, he's protected against the bombardment of thoughts from the world around him, symbolized by the city or the race consciousness from which he has separated himself. Again, a lot of that mental air chatter, if you have over air energy, thinking too much rationalization, ground yourself, do something fun, go out and literally put your feet on the ground, in the grass, bare feet, in the dirt, like just something simple like that. Just feel the energy. You need these things to help you stay grounded, to get away from mental chatter, to get away from like kind of crowd draining feelings. He's liberated from any old patterns that bind him and has learned to distinguish the true desires of the enlightened self from the compulsive desires of an unawakened self. So if we've allowed ourselves to indulge in some toxic behavior over the last few weeks because we were acting out our wounds or releasing some pent up old emotions, it's time to say, okay, we had our time, and now it's time to intentionally let it go and make sure that the space that we're creating is going to give us the feelings and the energy that we want. So within himself, he embodies all the teachings from the first 6 keys. The celestial symbols on his hat and robe indicate the larger reality that he can now perceive and work with. The blue color denotes the high priestess's consciousness to which he is connected. He is taking the middle way between the polarities of life, thus he has reconciled the lovers within. He is learning how to control his moods and emotions by stilling the mind and listening to the inner guide. Or the high priest, and he is using the power of concentration, which is the gift given him from the magician. So he's putting together a lot of life lessons. This is a good time for you to put together a lot of your skills, the skills in your toolkit that you've used to help you, regulate yourself, your emotions. The emperor taught him how to organize his activities and rule over his domain. What does this mean? Like, you get to decide your own availability. If you're prone to always answering the phone when it's not convenient for you, stop answering the phone. You won't be stressed anymore. Set some boundaries for yourself. This is your domain. You are the queen of your own castle, and you get to decide, even at a very basic level, nope, I don't want to be available for anybody tonight. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to take a bubble bath. I'm going to do whatever. I'm going to read a book, etc. When you do that, then you're more available to do stuff for other people. And it's such a, and I repeat this because it seems simple, but many of us find ourselves giving into the voice of what I should do versus what I want to do. And when we do that too often and we don't take care of our inner base needs, then it comes out in other self-sabotaging ways. We're resentful, we're snapping at people, maybe we're oversleeping, we're not showing up to work on time, those sort of things. So when you're feeling yourself like doing self-sabotaging things, it's time to take care of your inner voice. Listen to it, ask yourself what you really need, and answer it. If your inner knowingness is telling you, I don't need to be really busy today or this week, I'm feeling really stressed, cancel all of your appointments. It may seem counterintuitive, but do what you need to do. People will understand. If something's meant to be, a project is meant to be, it's gonna be there when you're ready, right? If you're meant to be part of it, it can't move forward until you're available for it. So it's okay to cancel when you've overextended yourself. That's what it means by organizing your activities and ruling over your domain. And from the Empress, he has found the place of peace in his heart. By embracing these gifts, he is victorious. That's really, I think, in my opinion, the ultimate goal, peace in your heart. And from that space, you can, to me, peace in your heart is like that space where you learn to ride a bike and you can balance yourself. And when all these other things are like throwing you off balance, all you're worried about is getting into balance so you can ride the bike. But once you've found that internal balance and you're riding, it's just a matter of where can I go? What can I do? And I'm saying all this abstractly, but it really is relating to where you want to go in life. When you've overcome all your story, when you've overcome all your wounds, when you've overcome all of your ways in which you're denying your true wants, needs, whatever, getting rid of the drama basically in your life, and you're reaching that place of centeredness and wholeness and wellness, from there, then you can tap into your mission. You can tap into like doing for others. Yes, peace in your heart is the best feeling ever. And to the person stuck in a trauma response, peace is the most scary feeling, because you're always wondering like, where, this is too good to be true. And allowing that peace, allowing that lack of drama, that boredom almost, it may feel like boredom at first. A peaceful life when you're addicted to drama feels very boring. Allow yourself to enjoy that boredom, okay? So this is telling you, examine some of that. The Chariot, what the vehicle that you're in, your body, take care of your body. It's really important to take care of it. So the herb for the Chariot is cypress. And cypress teaches the way of the middle path. In other words, moderation, centeredness. It is the capacity to help regulate energy and is especially useful for those who experience mood swings. It's exhausting when you're in a mood swing and you're spending all your energy trying to maintain feeling well, And then you have to explain to others why you're not feeling good, or maybe it's coming out in a way that people, it's obvious you're not feeling good, and then you're like, oh, wow, this isn't good. So that middle way, that centered in self, relaxed state of peace in your heart, that's the place where you really truly operate from, or should want to operate from. It's a drying herb, and so will help to dry up or regulate unneeded emotions / water within, because water, too much water element, you're over emotional. The three-sided stem of cypress is a signature of this herb's ability to help body, mind, spirit function as a whole. So I'm seeing this as your body's here in the 3D world. Maybe you're having some ascension symptoms, wanting to move into the 5D world. There's, so much going on here, but it's all interconnected. Don't ignore the earth element being here on earth in this 3D world, because when you take care of your body, you take care of your mind, you take care of your spirit, when you and all of it's interconnected. So this is all about direction from within, knowing the inner powers and strengths. And so with my heart as my guide, I will use my will and power to be victorious in all that I do. Your will and your power. Where are you putting your will? Is your will going towards undoing drama, or is your will going towards cultivating that rich garden within? And now, the Lovers. This is the energy for the week. Parsley. This is another major arcana. This is like pretty big, sweeping energy. When you get a hold of this idea of regulating self and being from a more peaceful place, it sets the tone for how you can connect to others, how much you're allowing yourself to receive. The Lovers, of course, to me always symbolize how you're relating to other people. And Parsley, the Lovers card, ruled by Gemini, is an expression of the female yin and the male yang elements within each of us. How balanced are you? The female is pointing to the divine inspiration represented by the rays of light. Ultimately, this week is all about how are you balancing your energy within? Like, are you really taking care of yourself? Are you doing all the things you need to do to get grounded? If you've been in too much emotional water energy, if you've been in too much overthinking air energy, really rely on some grounding elements and to bring you back into that yin yang or yang, how you want to call it, energy. The Blue River is an extension of the garment from the High Priestess and expresses inner knowingness. You already know everything you need to do. Like, you need to give up soda. You need to quit smoking. Ask yourself why you can't let it go. Oh, well, it's the thing that gives me pleasure. But is it really pleasing you? Is it really serving you? When I get home from work, I want to go drink some wine, but the next day I feel terrible. Is it really the treat that I think it's giving me? So that's that inner knowingness. Like, you know what you really need to be doing. And go do it. That's what self-love is. Doing the thing you know you need to do that's good for you. The male is the action, fiery, expressive, and reasoning part of the self. He looks toward his female half to see how the parts of life make up a whole. She is his inner guide and the uniting intelligence. Together, these two parts, plus divine inspiration, create beauty, love, and unity in our lives. Gemini is known as the sign of discrimination, communication, ideas, learning, and adaptability. For true communication to be manifested, we must be willing to be the receptive listener, receiver, or the yin side, and then become the outward creative expression of our ideas, or the yang side. That's, again, that balance of what are you allowing yourself to take in? Have you created space for the thing that you want? The yin, the listening. At the beginning I was saying, are you making space for your partner or your friends or whoever, whatever element it is that you want in your life? Are you making space for them or it to show up for you? And, when you're really stuck in that, like, judgmental space or overly critical space, you're definitely not in receptive mode. And I used to love listening to Abraham Hicks, or Esther Hicks would say, you know, it's almost like you're hitting the non-receptive button. Every time you want something and it's not happening, or you're being really critical and you can't get it, or you're really frustrated with yourself and it's not happening, it's kind of like hitting the non-receptive mode button. She'd go, not receptive, not receptive, you know, and I'd always remember that, like when I'm feeling really frustrated, you know, even like driving along in the car and I'm having road rage, it's the perfect time for you to examine your ability to receive or to let go of irritation or something basic like that. How much are you really truly in receptive mode? How much are you open to allowing? So the Lover's card asks us to be in rapport with the different parts of the self. This is so important. Love that you have a wounded space and you also have a whole space, and all of it is you. All of it is you. You cannot love the light side of you without loving the shadow side of you. And you cultivate that compassion by being able to love the shadow side of you. The side of you you feel is flawed. The side of you you think, oh, if people find out about this, they'll leave. You know, the inner part of you that you're ashamed of, that part you have to love. You have to love it. Okay? And this is what it's saying. You must be in rapport with the different parts of yourself. All of it. So through loving allowance for others and ourselves, we can see and create beauty in our lives. So parsley as an herb naturally grows in rocky soils, and its roots break up hard rocks, just as the herb internally is good for dissolving urinary stones in the bladder and kidneys. Kidney stones. Anybody here experience kidney stones? They're like little pockets of anger and hardness in your body, that hard-heartedness, that an inability to let go or feel compassion. Parsley is really good at breaking up hard-heartedness. The tea of parsley, which is kind of bitter, it doesn't taste very good, eliminates gas and bloating from the intestines. The seeds and the roots of parsley and its near relative celery, believe it or not, when you look at a stalk of celery, the leaves on it look very similar to parsley, are considered an aphrodisiac and are a good treatment for impotence in men. The herb can be carried in a pouch to remind the wearer of the unity of the yin-yang inside. It will help to loosen up the rigid feelings associated with either gender. If you're really butting heads with your partner, or you're really butting heads with maybe a side of you that's, you know, overly aggressive or overly emotional, and you really feel like maybe you need to tap into the other side of yourself to balance it out, this parsley is really good for you. I feel love and unity within. That's really the goal for this week, okay? That's the ultimate goal for this week. Hello, Laura. Love and light and angel blessings to you as well. Happy Mother's Day. All right. So that concludes the group card reading. Now I have Bridget, Stephanie, and Shelly down. Anybody else want a card? There's an, I'm going to pull out my animal cards, but if anybody would like a tarot card, the herbal tarot, before I tap into my animal cards, let me know. And I'll wait a few seconds to see if sometimes these comments on here don't pop up as much. Facebook is kind of quirky. I'll get comments like after the fact. So ooh, Megan, let me know. Would you like an animal card or a herbal tarot card? Let me know. And while you're deciding, I'm going to take a sip of water here. And I'd love to hear how everyone is doing on Mother's Day. For some people, it's a really awesome day. For some people, that it's a really triggering kind of day. If you have mother wound, if your mom has passed and you're grieving her loss, maybe you don't have a relationship with your mom. It has a lot of connotations. maybe you're a mother and you're not getting the essence of the expectations of the day. I always find like days like Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, there's a lot of pressure to live up to expectations. And oh well, so and so's family did this for them, and my family did not. Don't worry about that. Let Mother's Day or these other holidays, whatever they are, let them mean what it needs to mean for you, or nothing at all. So, okay. We're curious, what kind of Mother's Day are you having? And be honest. And Laura, I see, okay, you'd like an animal card. Yeah, and for those of you like Shelly, you don't have kids, you know, it's like, I don't know, maybe it doesn't apply to me, but you know, or you use it to honor your own mom. So I'm curious, how are y'all experiencing your Mother's Day? Oh, good. Excellent. Just another day for Shelly. And Bridget's having a good day. Awesome. Okay, so Megan, I'm going to pull you an herbal tarot card since I still have the deck out here. And I'm going to set it down amongst all of the others, the animal cards. So, what card for Megan? Hello, Erin Marie. How are you? Happy Mother's Day. Thank you so much. Let me know if you'd like a card. Animal medicine card or the herbal tarot. So, all right. I'm going to shuffle this deck sometimes. Spirit, what would you like us to know? What animals would you like to send to us as messengers? Okay. Third time. Okay. So I'm gonna write this down. Erin, you'd like an herbal card? All right, perfect. All right. So I'm gonna hold a card for Megan and Erin already. Bridget, here's your animal card. Stephanie wanted an animal card. Shelly. Megan with your herbal tarot. Laura. Erin. There we go. Perfect. All right, so the first card. I'm wonderful, Erin. Thanks for asking. The squirrel. Oh my goodness, we had squirrel last week, and I normally associate squirrel with being like squirrel brained, like all over the place. But squirrels are actually very fastidious, and they think and plan for the future. And have you thought about saving lately? Saving some money. This is for Bridget. And gathering, the great gathering. Squirrel, you have gathered nuts by the score, exactly predicting if you'll need more. Teach me to take no more than I need, trusting great mystery to harvest the seed. Squirrel teaches you to plan ahead for the winter when the trees are bare and the nuts have long since disappeared. Squirrel medicine can come in many forms. Are you being fastidious? As this furry creature is very diverse in nature, the erratic behavior of squirrel has bested many a forlorn hunter, and it thus stands to reason that there are benefits to being able to circle a branch at lightning speed. This erratic behavior of squirrel can also get nerve-wracking if you're dealing with persons who have squirrel medicine. Trying to calm them down enough to accomplish something may drive you nuts. Okay. So yeah, if you're in a lot of squirrel energy, some of that can be, be careful not to be over busy. As they were saying, if you're watching somebody else in squirrel medicine, who have squirrel medicine, it can be nerve-wracking. The gathering power of squirrel medicine is a great gift. It teaches you how to gather and store your energy for times of need. This is a reminder too of the cycles of life. Like sometimes it's important if you have a big push, if you know that you're going to have a project and you need to really prepare and build up for, an event. Go ahead, bring lots of energy, push through, but then don't forget to relax after the fact. Don't be always pushing and, expending all your nuts that you've gathered. Give yourself time to replenish yourself. So, again, how to gather and store your energy for times of need. It teaches you to reserve something for future use, whether it be a judgment, an opinion, a savings account, candles, or extra food. I really say this applies to energy. Are you overextending? Do you always go to the point where you're done, depleted, or now I need to take 3 weeks off just because I'm laid out in the bed and I can't get up? This is really important. Pay attention to that. It teaches you to reserve something for future use, whether it be judgment, an opinion, a savings account, candles, or extra food. To put it in a nutshell, squirrel is the Boy Scout of the animal kingdom. Always be prepared. And don't always use all your resources. I think that's important. In today's world of changing times and fortunes, it is the wise person who prepares for the future. Our prophecies have all spoken of the end of the millennium and the changes to come. Squirrel is a friendly medicine to have in light of possible future rainy days. If you're feeling that, I ran around all day, I did stuff, and I didn't really enjoy it, but I was just doing it to feel like I needed to do it, or I'm supposed to be doing it, pay attention to that stressed out feeling. That might be something for you to get away from. Recognize the feeling and know, I can stop in the middle of this. I don't have to use up all my nuts right here. Nuts being all the energy that you have. But again, if you feel like going nuts, go ahead. Squirrel is a friendly medicine to have in light of possible future rainy days. Its message is to be prepared, but not go nuts with it. Love yourself enough to gather the goods that will meet your needs in times of scarcity, even if that time never comes. If squirrel is scurried into your cards today, it may be that you're being told to honor your future by readying yourself for change. The message could be to lighten your load if you have gathered too many things that do not serve you. I used to love these they were kind of decluttering, I don't want to call them contests or challenges, but over a 9-day period, you'd give away 9 things every day, and you'd be amazed at how much stuff you were hoarding that you didn't need. And once you gave it away, it gave you that lightness of being. This I got rid of all of this junk and crap I didn't need. That lightness of being. This ability to determine if I'm carrying too much weight that I don't have to carry. And then, am I really prepared for what I need, or do I just have too much crap? So I encourage you to try something yes, prepare for the future, gather your resources, but look at whether you have things you don't need and haven't used in 4 years. Give away 9 things for 9 days and see how you feel afterward. Okay. Again, the message could be to lighten your load if you've gathered too many things that do not serve you. And these could be energetic things. These could be, I give up rushing around every day, so I'm going to give myself 20 extra minutes. I give up being late to work, or whatever it is. These things can include thoughts, worries, pressures, stresses, or gadgets that have been broken for years. In understanding the balance involved in gathering, you need to look at the idea of circulating the stock of what you've gathered. This could be, do I have too fussy of a routine every day? What can I get rid of? Maybe my hair's too long. Maybe I can cut it short and make my life easier. So call the nearest thrift store and give the gadgets to someone who can benefit from them. Cut your hair off and give it to Loves for Locks. I don't know. That's just an example. If something no longer grows corn for you, then it is time to let it go. Squirrel has another lesson which can aid you if you observe what is obvious and which can prepare you for anything. It has to do with the safe place in which you put your gatherings. This safe place is an untroubled heart and mind. Again, that peace in the heart. Anything that's causing you to have stress, anything that's interfering in peace of mind, get rid of it. You don't need it. Anything that's driving you nuts, get rid of it. The energies gathered will set your mind and heart free so that you will know that all will be taken care of in its own time. Apply this to your fears about the future and they will vanish. All right, that was for Bridget. So this next card will be for Stephanie. And you are so welcome, Bridget. This is one of my totem animals. For Stephanie, Jaguar energy, all about integrity and impeccability. Don Miguel Ruiz, the 4 agreements, always be impeccable with your word. This is so important. I don't think we convey enough. He has this saying, if you guys can read the 4 agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz, if you have not read it, do so. I have to read it in parts and go back and reread it. And I love what he says. He basically says in a nutshell, and I'm going to paraphrase. I hope I can find the passage, but he basically says, we will only allow others to abuse us as much as we allow ourselves to abuse ourselves. Jaguar is all about integrity. Integrity doesn't just necessarily mean doing the right thing. Integrity means how strong can you withhold your own way of being, your own values. How strong are you? Like if a ship has good integrity, it won't hold water. The sides of the ship will hold. This is how strong you are, essentially. How strong is your energetic vessel? So Jaguar, teach me, sacred Jaguar, teach me to wear my power lightly, to walk with impeccability, to approach life with compassion, and to live up to the integrity of my human potential. Impeccability is, in my opinion, ultimately how much do you keep your word? How much do you keep your word to yourself is most sacred. Because if you're not keeping your word to yourself, you're definitely not keeping it for other people. Since the death of Sky God, the godlike being who had come from the stars and led the Maya to prosperity and a golden era of spiritual understanding, his teachings of love, integrity, impeccability, and the power of a compassionate heart had been perverted. The distortion of his Jaguar teachings had degenerated to where the priests were sacrificing human beings, foolishly cutting out victims' hearts to reclaim the power of the golden days of the empire. Forgotten was the authentic power of the honorable and loving heart in Sky God's teachings. The great Jaguar spirit, who was Sky God's totem, roamed the dreams of the Maya, looking for any dishonorable behavior. This can be kind of a humbling experience. Going around and looking at ways in which you're not acting in integrity. But when you're honest with yourself, this is such an act of self-love and inner strength. The great Jaguar spirit, who's Sky God's totem, roamed the dreams of Maya looking for any dishonorable behavior. Misdeeds and abuses of power had diminished the spirit of the Maya and needed to be sacrificed for the survival of the people. The priests who had abused the authority and power bestowed on them quaked in fear, knowing that the day of reckoning had come. Jaguar brought justice by stalking their dreams and devouring their flagrantly dishonorable and greedy misdeeds. There's a little bit of a shadow side to this, which is compassion for other people who are not acting in integrity. Just knowing that they're human and they're flawed and imperfect, just like us. And anytime we feel the need to judge them. It's really our own inner critic coming out. So Jaguar medicine is integrity and impeccability. Its mission is to devour the unclean aspects of human behavior. Jaguar teaches us the penalties of inappropriate behavior and offers the rewards of good medicine to those who stand in their personal integrity and walk through life in an impeccable manner. If Jaguar is roaming in your dream reality today, its primal roar may be rewarding you for maintaining your integrity in some situation where you could have easily misused your authority. You may have been unwilling to pass judgment on another or to be self-serving. To me, Jaguar is all about, even when someone can do nothing for you, how do you treat them? Jaguar is all about, I have a position of authority and I do not choose to abuse it. Think about ways in your life that, how are you using the power in your life, your personal power? Were you especially kind to someone or do a good deed that was unexpected? If someone wronged you, were you kind to them instead? Did you forgive them when you knew you could have been ugly to them? That's Jaguar power. That's Jaguar energy. If so, allow the recognition to fill you with feelings of well-being and continue to take the high road, basically. Continue to serve with compassion and open-hearted integrity. Do not falter in your resolve to be your personal best at all times. Maintain your dignity. Dignity is such an underrated quality. People forget about the importance of maintaining your dignity. Dignity isn't just like, you know, I'm hoity-toity. Dignity is a feeling of regard for yourself, high regard for yourself, and letting yourself meet that standard and stay in that standard. Devotion and compassion, holding to forthrightness and honesty no matter what the contrary influence are. This is Jaguar energy. Do not feed any self-important need to be an enlightened one. Just let it be your path. Don't worry about like what other people are doing or how they're perceiving you. Treating others in a self-righteous manner. You know, I'm doing the work, but look at how you're being. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Take the high road. Jaguar medicine teaches you that personal integrity allows for mistakes, embraces forgiveness, and humbly makes self-directed corrections, allowing a rebalanced spirit to triumph once again. There's that rebalancing again. There's a lot of that going on this week. It's going to be about rebalancing ourselves. Maybe I've done some stuff I'm not real proud of. Maybe I've felt some really ugly things and I've done some really ugly crap. But it's time to reset myself and just be in high integrity. That's Jaguar energy. So really powerful. That's why he's like my animal totem. I love him. Love Jaguar. And Jaguar, again, is the water element, the energy of the winds of the west, getting through rites of passage, humbling yourself to look at your flaws and making necessary changes. So, rebalancing, recalibrating the self. Okay, one more drink here. That was for Stephanie. All right. And so, Bridget says, I need to let go of a relationship. It will be hard, but I need to. Yes. And I have found that every time I know I needed to let go of a relationship and it took me a long time to let it go, when I finally did, it was like, why didn't I do that sooner? And yet forgive yourself for any reason why you may have hesitated. So, and Laura says, been there, done that. You're stronger than you think you are. Yes, we are. We're all stronger than we think we are. Definitely. Okay, this card is for Shelly. Oof. You know, this card came up, I think, last week, and it can be, sometimes when you get a card, and it doesn't necessarily have, like, the nicest connotation, it has, like, really powerful information for you. And it also may be that it's, be wary of the energy around you. So the reason I bring this up, Coyote. Coyote, and he's, of course, the infamous number 13, the lucky number 13. Coyote energy is known as the trickster, okay? Coyote, you devil, you tricked me once more. must I sit and ponder what you did that for? Okay, sometimes when you get a card like this, it's not necessarily for you. It may be the energy around you. Like somebody around you is bringing you some trickster energy and you don't quite understand, what did I do to deserve this crap? Think about how you're open and what you're allowing yourself to be available for. So that just came to me. In other words, like, don't put up with crap you don't need to, and be mindful if you've left yourself open to people giving you trickster energy, because they know you'll put up with it. Like Roadrunner was just sort of toying with Coyote, right? So he thought he was being the trickster, but really Roadrunner had the upper hand. So yeah, and your birthday is on the 13th, so there you go. All right. But this trickster energy is sacred. It's sacred energy. There are thousands of myths and stories about Coyote, the great trickster. Many native cultures call Coyote the medicine dog. If you pull this card, you can be sure that some kind of medicine is on its way, and it may or may not be to your liking. Okay, so here's a little bit of an aside. When I joined the sheriff's office, I was 31. I'm 41 now, going on 42. So I've been with them almost 11 years. When I think about how naive I was when I did not know the ways of Coyote, the trickster, the criminal, the street sense, knowing this information is super powerful. When you know like the devious ways around you, it can help you become a stronger protector. So there's some shadow work in the trickster, but it's really important information, okay? If you pull this card, you can be sure that some kind of medicine is on its way. It may not be to your liking. It may not feel good while you're learning it, but sometimes we're going to learn the hard way. And I know I'm real hard-headed, and and the only way I really get something is if I feel the pain of it for a little bit. And I don't know if it's necessary, but for me, it seems to be. Whatever the medicine is, good or bad, you can be sure it will make you laugh, maybe even painfully. You'll be like, oh my God, I'm such an idiot. Like, I should have gotten this. You can be sure that Coyote will teach you a lesson about yourself. Coyote has many magical powers, but they do not always work in his favor. His own trickery fools him. He is the master trickster who tricks himself. This could be taken to, like, how many little head games are you playing with yourself around not maybe coming to terms with some stuff that you need to think about in your life? How many times are you fooling yourself or tricking yourself into believing, maybe this guy really isn't that good of a guy, but I've tricked myself into believing just one more time he's going to be good. It's that sort of energy. Because at the end of the day, you fall into your own trap, which is believing in something that may or may not be true. And yet he somehow manages to survive. He may be banged and bruised by the experience, but he soon goes on his way to even greater error, forgetting to learn from his mistakes. I think us women tend to do this in relationship to men, where we trick ourselves into believing they're of greater character than they actually are. And then we go on and date another knucklehead just like him, and we wonder why we're doing this to ourselves, because not all guys are knuckleheads. We just happen to be picking knuckleheads. That's Coyote energy. That's trickster energy. That's doing something is not helping you, but you're doing it anyway. He may have lost the battle, but he's never beaten. So at the end of the day, you're never beaten, okay? Coyote's sacred. In the folly of his acts, we see our own foolishness. So the whole time you're like, I knew this guy was no good. I knew he was no good. And I was trying to fool myself, and you're just kicking yourself in the ass. Coyote is kick yourself in the ass energy. As Coyote moves from one disaster to the next, he refines the art of self-sabotage to sheer perfection. So no one can blindly do themselves or others in with more grace and ease than this holy trickster. You learn so much from your mistakes. This is like learn from your mistakes. Like totally learn, and learn from the mistakes it took you a long time to learn from. So Coyote takes himself so seriously at times that he cannot see the obvious. For example, the steamroller that is about to run him over. That is why when it hits him, he still cannot believe it. Again, like, but I thought he was a good guy, and now I'm surprised he was a jackass. This is that energy. You know, you're still hurt by the fact that the person betrayed you or was terrible to you or whatever, but you knew he was a knucklehead to begin with. What's that saying? Don't get mad at a snake because it bit you. That's coyote energy. You're dating a bunch of snakes and they bite you, and I got bit. That's really what they're talking about. And it says, that is why when the steamroller hits him, he still cannot believe it. Was that really a steamroller? I better go look, he says, and he's run over once again. Contained within trickster medicine is the humor of the ages. The cosmic joke is not just on ourselves, but on everyone else if they are following coyote or have strong coyote medicine. Someone like this may be able to convince others that a skunk smells like roses. But the fact remains that it is still a skunk. Snooze time is over if you ever pulled the coyote medicine card. Watch out, your glass house may crash to the ground at any moment. There may be some momentary humiliation, but it's a very powerful lesson if you let it be one. And most of the time we won't let it really sink in and be a lesson. Again, that's coyote medicine. All your self mirrors may shatter. The divine trickster is dogging you, and you may trip. Coyote scratches under his arm. He does a crazy dance. He catches his tail on fire playing with matches. He jumps in the fish pond to save himself and nearly drowns. Coyote seduces a concrete statue. Coyote thinks he has found a bone, but it is a rattlesnake. You get the energy. You get the gist of it here. Get ready for more of the laughs, lots more. There's another piece here. Pay attention to crazy making behavior. If you're around someone with coyote energy who's making you feel freaking crazy because they're doing shit that, you know, is like ridiculous and causing a lot of drama for you, and you can see right through it, but you're tolerating it, that's coyote energy too. Crazy making nonsense. Don't put up with it. Go immediately beneath the surface of your experiences. Ask yourself what you're really doing and why. Is coyote your medicine? Why are you available for crazy making nonsense? That's a good question. That's the question, really. Are you playing jokes on yourself? Are you trying to fool an adversary? Why are you available for this nonsense? Essentially, is someone tricking you? Do you have to give the office geek the phone number of the beautiful new secretary? Or do you want to pull a prank on your best friend? When was the last time you did something just because it was crazy and fun? Now that's a good question. So, I don't know. There may be some hilarity to coyote energy that sort of gives it a little bit of levity. Go ahead with that. On the other hand, you may not be conscious of your own pathway of foolishness. Most of the time, I think we all are conscious of it after the fact. Like, oh, I already knew, but I didn't realize I would look like such a dumbass in the process. And that's the hard part. You may have conned yourself, your family, your friends, or even the public at large into believing that you know what you're doing. But listen, coyote. You are balled up in your own machinations. You have created a befuddling, bewildering, confounding trick. This is really hard when, again, you're not aware of it. People who lie to themselves about things, you know, like you really think that something is a certain way about themselves and it's not really that way, or they're more important. They're filled with self-importance. These are things that, like, everybody needs to have a friend who will tell you, hey, you're in coyote energy, and be willing to be able to hear it, okay? Pick up the juggler eyes from the ground and put them back in their sockets. See through the genius of your acts of self-sabotage. What were you trying to really accomplish with your self-sabotage? There was some need under there, some desire that you're maybe not allowing yourself to really let yourself feel and desire. You're dating all these jerks or something. This is, let me just go with the same analogy. You're dating these same jerks because you really can't truly allow yourself to desire a completely open, honest, authentic relationship. So you keep staying in this trickster energy for some reason. It's keeping you in drama, because as long as you're in drama, you can't really, you don't have to face yourself, okay? Find it amusing and laugh, trickster. Laugh. Okay, come to terms with it. Get to the bottom of it, okay? If you can't laugh at yourself and your crazy antics, you have lost the game. Forgive yourself if you've done some really dumb stuff, okay? Coyote is always coming calling when things get too serious. The medicine is in laughter and joking so that new viewpoints may be assumed. If you have coyote medicine, you may use it to make stuffy old fogies lighten up, to add cheer to a party, or to break a death grip conversation with ease. Maybe use some of this on yourself if you're really stuck in a certain place. Look at the positive side of sabotaging nosy questions about your personal life. Have fun telling some gossiper that you've returned from St. Tropez with your new Learjet. So you get the picture. Coyote energy is kind of tricky, for lack of a better term. But how are you tricking yourself? How are you available for trickster energy? Okay. That one's pretty long. So, next card is an herbal card for Megan. Let's see what we got. Some sword energy here. Air energy, overthinking. Four of Swords. Mullane. Okay. After much disharmony, excessive thinking, and restlessness, the man has set down his sword and has taken a breather. Yeah, if you've been in any of this full moon of Scorpio, overthinking, deep dark emotions you haven't allowed yourself to process, you set the intention to release them, now you overthought about it, it's time to set down your sword, quit thinking about it. It's time to take a breather. It is time to be calm, to rest and recuperate in order to regain inner strength, reorganize thoughts, and make new plans. This is that down cycle. Don't be afraid of the down cycle, especially if you're an over busy person. You have that busy hamster on a wheel energy. You're just hammering thoughts, you know, about the way things you think should be or how you should be, you know, very judgy, very critical, that sort of energy. Let it go. Relax. This may be a good time to seek guidance spiritually, financially, or otherwise. If you're really stuck on a point and you keep hammering it, I highly recommend getting an outside source to come in, some new energy to catalyze you, to alchemize you, to, is that a word? Alchemize? To basically add something new to the equation to reset you, essentially. This may be a good time to seek guidance spiritually, financially, or otherwise. This is not a time to be scattered and disorganized, but instead one must strive to be grounded and to understand the boundaries and forms by which one must live. If there is a feeling of being repressed or restricted, it is best to look to the inner realities by which one lives to see where the self is not allowed freedom of positive expression. So that's sort of a fancy way of saying, you know, if you're angry about this, what is it that you really want? Okay? So any unconsciousness may be due to lack of the ability to confront the current situation. Might look at some of that trickster energy too. Why am I available for this situation? Whatever it is. Take the time out to regroup and rest. This may give you that perspective you need to find out why you're available for something. But do it in such a way that you will have greater strength and clarity to deal with the next step. So Mullane spiritually can help you take a breather after much struggle and conflict. Sometimes if you stay and engage in an argument, you're making yourself available for something you don't need to. Whereas if you just saw the forest for the trees and cut off the conversation, then that's that breather. You immediately gave yourself a breather because you're not available for it. You cut it off at the pass, okay? Mullane will open the lungs and allow the life breath to flow in more easily and allow toxins such as negative thoughts to be exhaled and released. Medicinally, Mullane has been used for coughs, hoarseness, bronchitis, phlegm, and whooping cough. Essentially, energy of the lungs. The flowers are specifically sedative and anti-inflammatory. The leaves are smoked alone or with coltsfoot and yerba santa to soothe the throat and as a substitute for tobacco. Yeah, not all smoking things are irritating to your lungs. Some natural, like asthma treatment, like think about when we used albuterol. Albuterol is like an actual drug, but it's the same concept of relaxing the lungs by inhaling. Mullein has that same quality. Taking the herbal essence will set up the internal vibration for helping one to relax and take in a healing breath. Need to retreat and regroup, rest. So if you've really been the spiritual warrior the past few weeks, it's time to set down your sword and just chill out. Just maybe watch a couple movies, relax, shut off your brain. Just do what you need to do to not be hammering on that point in your head. The affirmation is, I give myself the time to rest and recuperate, and I am open to the guidance that comes towards me. So you're going to make space for some more guidance that way. Okay. There we go. Next, Laura. Laura had an animal card. Okay. We were talking about the skunk earlier, right? Skunk energy. So most people like skunk, you know, or they get like an animal that's not necessarily desirable, and you know, the general population has like preconceived correlations with these animals, but they often embody the essence of certain things that we as humans, unless we're really paying attention to, aren't aware of. And they're really quite admirable qualities. So have no fear. The skunk is here. 65. Reputation. Skunk has an unfair reputation, I think. Skunk, tell me the story so I will know it well of how to attract and how to repel. Skunk is actually very good at saying, get the hell away from me. And if you need to do that, use skunk energy. Skunk medicine, go ahead and laugh. This furry little animal has a reputation that contains a great deal of power. When you mention skunk, people immediately go, ugh, you know, they stink. You know, nobody wants to get sprayed by a skunk. Due to its distinctive behavior, humans give this tiny, smelly creature a wide berth. But the key word here is respect, okay? It's that energy of, when I say I'm going to do something, I do it so people respect you, okay? Unlike other predatory animals, skunk does not threaten your life, but threatens your senses. You know this to be true if you've ever been in the vicinity of its spray. In observing the habit patterns of skunk, it is easy to notice the playfulness and nonchalance of its natural behavior. The I dare you attitude of this four-legged creature commands you as the observer to respect its space by mere reputation alone. This is really good. Oh, you had one in your yard last night. See, the skunk is a good messenger for you. You had one showed up for you, now you got a card. Skunk's telling you something. You need to create a reputation that you mean business. So skunk is teaching you that by walking your talk and by respecting yourself, you will create a position of strength and honored reputation. The carriage of your body relates to others what you believe about yourself. There's no need to bully, aggravate, torment, or overpower others beings when your sense of self is intact. This is so true, especially, you know, us as women. We do a lot of yelling, we do a lot of screaming, we do a lot of nagging, and when we do, we don't feel in our power. Skunk is, I expect you to do what I requested, and if you don't, this is pretty much what's going to happen. And that's enough talk. So the less we talk and scream and yell and cajole and try to convince, then people respect you the first time you say something. Like little kids. Hey, clean up your room or I'm going to pick up all your toys, and they're gone. So then you realize, hey, they didn't pick up their toys, so you go right in and pick up all their toys. Next time you say pick up your toys, the kids clean up the toys. Amazing how that works, but this is skunk energy. So as with skunk, the resonant field of energy around your body is relayed through the senses. Self-esteem permeates the body's energy and is instantly recognized on an extrasensory level by others. People know when you respect yourself and you mean business. People know who they can disrespect and who they cannot. It's really annoying. You're like, well, why would this person do this for them but not for me? Well, because that person's giving off this I mean business energy. So learn to assert without ego what you are. Respect follows. You just are. You just are. That's how it is. This is how it is. There's no conversation. There's no convincing. It just is. This is how skunk is. So your self-respectful attitude will repel those who are not of like mind, and yet will attract those who choose the same pathway. You'll get rid of a lot of the tricksters, the coyote energy in your life, if you're a skunk, because they know if I fool with skunk, I'm going to get sprayed, and you don't get messed with. So essentially, as the odor of skunk attracts others of its kind, it repels those who will not respect its space. Skunk medicine people have the ability to attract others, and they are very charismatic. At the same time, the other side of their natural power is to repel those who seek to take energy from them without recycling the gifts they have taken. Like I said, it may seem undesirable on the surface, like, oh, skunk stinks, nobody wants to be around. But really, they know who they'll allow into their space and who they won't. Skunk medicine people also know how to use the energy flow, to use the energy flows that will attract a lover. Think of Pepe Le Pew. Some people call this sexual magic, as it is akin to the musk scent that animals excrete to attract a mate. It can be dangerous to leak sexual energy if you're not looking for a mate. It puts you into a games condition that may feed your ego, but not how others feel about you. If you're attracting others who have an interest in you, you are in a sense saying, I'm available. What are you available for? This can cause hard feelings when the truth comes out. It also leaks energy that you could have used in a more constructive way. In skunk medicine, it is good to learn how to handle how energy flows. Or they say energy flows, as flows being a noun. Like modern psychologists call this body language. In tribal teachings, this is your personal medicine, which you're showing to others. Use your medicine well, and know that you're known by your reputation. How do you want to be seen by others? You want to be seen by others as someone who means business, or someone who's available for something that they're really not. How you use your energy will attract either honor or disgrace. You may want to examine what energy you are putting out that creates your present situation. Are you available for that trickster energy? If you have chosen this symbol, you're being asked to notice the kinds of people who are attracted to you. If they emulate favorable characteristics, have enough self-esteem to recognize these characteristics within yourself. Walk tall and be proud of the accomplishments you have made. Bear in mind that what you believe about yourself is your ultimate protection. In other words, project self-respect. So there you go. All right. And then, last but not least, that was for Laura. And now we have one for Aaron. Aaron. Okay. Two of Swords, more air energy. Again, lots of air energy all up in your head. It's good to have earth energy, grounding energy for that balance, to find balance this week, okay? Passion flower, the Two of Swords. A woman stands before the ocean. Her arms cross her heart and her hands hold two swords. The moon in the background is waxing. A new cycle is beginning. This is perfect for the new moon in Taurus. How much more in alignment is that, right? The woman has come to the point of integrating the duality of the mind, that is, analysis and intuition. She has been working on an equilibrium between the heart, the emotions, and the intellect. Again, more balance here. This process will bring tranquility and greater internal balance. Again, that peaceful heart. Any conflict that she was having is finding a resolution. Decisions and agreements have been or can now be reached. This is perfect because sometimes when you're hammering on a point, you can't come up with a solution yet, or it can't somehow resolve itself. It's just not time. just hasn't worked itself out yet. And that's that releasing, allowing energy, to allow something to run its course first. A sense of healing wisdom is hers to manifest. She must guard against being indecisive to the point of no action. Sometimes that waffling energy, back and forth, being indecisive, that's what keeps a situation from resolving itself. Because people can't really ever dig in and get grounded and feel like this is the actual course I'm going to take. So she must learn to complete those actions and cycles she has begun. If she feels tension and confusion because of her indecisiveness, she must take time out to listen to her heart's wisdom, and the uncertainties will begin to fade away. Most of the time, we already know what we need to do. We just aren't doing it because we're afraid. That's where a lot of indecision comes from, and commitment issues. All right, what does commitment mean to you? If I commit to something, then that means I'm saying no to all those other things. Fear of missing out. Passion flower was so named by Jesuit missionaries in Peru because it was thought that its distinctive corona and petals resembled the crown of thorns that Jesus wore. You know, Passion Week, the Passion of the Christ. The herb was said to pacify the spirit. In herbal essence, it will impart a sense of peaceful balance and tranquility. Meditation with the flower can be quite mesmerizing, similar to looking at a mandala. It brings focus and accord to the mind and heart. You don't necessarily need to find a passion flower, find a photo of it and meditate on the essence of it. Take that photo, put it in a little medicine bag, put a picture of it up on your altar, whatever it is, or your mesa, whatever it is you use as your sacred space to meditate on that and give you some energy for that balance. Passion flower is a nervine, sedative, and antispasmodic. It treats sleeplessness, chronic insomnia, seizures, epilepsy, anxiety, and nervous tension. The fruit is rich in flavonoids and is a diuretic and a nutritive tonic. You can make tea from it. So, keywords: need to create a quietness within. Cultivate that garden. What kind of garden? Do you make room? Did you create space for that garden? Did you cultivate that stillness, the quietness? Through my heart's path, I create a balance within. All right. All right, ladies. This concludes this week's card pull, party, and energy reading. Thank you so much for everyone who stayed on. And thank you for being here and participating. I love you guys so much, and I'm so grateful to you. Happy Mother's Day. Let this energy pass through us this week as we honor ourselves and we parent ourselves, we mother ourselves, so that we can bring our energy to others in meaningful ways. So much love to you. Bye for now.